as Vice President of Academic Affairs. Connor State College is Vice President of Academic Affairs. And now she is the President of Eastern Oklahoma State College. She's a graduate of Leadership Oklahoma in 2013. I'm pretty good at winging all this stuff. The reason I am is because she is my wife, Dr. Janet Wansick, President of Eastern Oklahoma State College.
All right.
You can tell them all I missed if you want to.
No, it's always scary when he introduces me because you just never know what's going to come out of his mouth. He loves the drug deal story, so you guys ask him about it, so he'll have a chance to tell you because he loves that story about us. But I thought I would come and kind of give you guys some feedback and about things that are going on at Eastern, kind of what our reopening has looked like, and then maybe some new things that are going on. As you are probably aware, the COVID-19 thing has absorbed pretty much all of my time from spring break till now, trying to figure out how to safely reopen with a whole bunch of college kids on the campus where they come and live. So we have put together a really great plan. I had a great team working on it, and we have started classes back. We started on Monday. So we have classes back in session. We do have a mandatory mask ordinance on campus, so anybody that comes to campus does have to wear a mask. Students are wearing masks in classrooms. If they're outside where they can socially distance, they can take their masks off. And then obviously if they're in their own personal space, they can take the masks off. But thought that was going to be a little bit harder deal than it was. I will say that the students have been really extremely respectful of the rules that were there. They came in, we've told them this is the way you're going to get to stay here. I have a really good athletic director that basically called in all the teams, and he said, if you want to play, if you want to participate in things going on campus, you follow these rules. Otherwise, she's going to send us all home. And they were like, okay. So they pretty much have been following everything that we've done. We also added the Zoom feature to all of our face-to-face classes, because we knew there would be some people for a variety of situations that wouldn't be able to actually physically come to class. So we do have all of our face-to-face classes that have a Zoom option with them. Students can stay home and participate on a regularly scheduled day like they normally would. And then we also have our online classes that we've had for a long time. We're seeing a lot of good participation in all of those modalities. The students are really thankful that something comes up with their grandmother or their family member that they can actually Zoom into class, but on other days when things aren't going on, then they can come face to face. So as you know, devastating as this virus has been, I think it actually has taught us some ways that we can be a little bit more creative with people. In our campus, we tend to have a lot of first generation college students, a lot of older adults returning back to school. And so this really gives them a flexibility that we hadn't actually allowed them in before, just because it wasn't something that we had to do. So I think we probably will continue even past COVID with some of these things in place so that we can provide, more opportunity for students coming in. We have, done all of the increased cleaning things that are there. Can't tell you how much sanitizer we have all over campus, gallons and gallons of wipes and those kinds of things. So we're really trying to take it as seriously as we can and make sure that everybody stays as healthy as they can. We did move students back into the dorms. We do have screenings for all of our student athletes and students that are on campus on a daily basis. They go, because they're almost all program kids. So they're either involved in the ag program or one of our athletic programs. So those coaches do screen those kids before their practices every day so that we can try to keep them as safe as possible. But they're housed in the dorms in groups. So baseball boys are here, softball boys are here, softball girls are here, and so forth across campus to try to keep them as safe as possible. And we do have some quarantine rooms that we've already set up because, we expect that there will be a case. I think we would be naive to believe that there won't be at least one on campus, but we've got protocols in place where we can isolate those students very, very quickly and make sure that we can work with the health departments, either here in Pittsburgh County for our McAlester or over on our other campus. We do have 2 teaching sites that are in southeastern Oklahoma that we've not reopened yet. We have a teaching site that's in Idabel, and if you guys were watching the numbers for McCurtain County, they got way high. So we have not reopened that campus. Our nursing students are going in for skills labs, but all of the other students are doing their classes via distance learning. And we're working with Southeastern, it's their home campus, to try to decide when and if we'll be able to reopen that. And then we have a teaching site in Antlers where we teach on the Kamishi Technology Center site, and we've just reduced the number of students that are there because it's in Orange County as well. And then actually right before classes started, this became in Orange County. So I spend a lot of time looking at the map. It comes out Friday afternoons, if you guys don't know that. So Friday, actually sometimes about 11 o'clock on Friday, that tells you whether it's orange, yellow, green. And right before classes started, I was telling my team over there that I was sitting in bed, and I was like, what's going on with me? And so I was really having a dream is what it was. And I dreamed that I had looked at the map and our counties had gone yellow and green. And I'm like, yay, we're yellow and green. And I thought, how sad is it that these are the things I dream about, what color the map is. But that really kind of is where we're living as a group. But I will tell you, the staff and faculty of the campuses have done a tremendous job of doing everything they can to protect the students that are there. We have actually seen a little bit of growth in the number of students on campus. We really expected the dorm numbers to go down. I think kids are just sick of being home with mom and dad, so they said, never mind, I'm gonna go ahead and come to campus. So we actually have about 50 more students in the dorms than we had last year. And so that's a great thing for us, great problem to have. But again, feeding them, making sure they're safe when they do all those kinds of things has been a little bit of an interesting road to kind of go down. Kind of non-COVID related things, we are actually doing some growth things in our ag department. Some of you might be interested. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Eastern has a meat processing plant on campus. And so we have, for a number of years, processed meat. But because it's a teaching site, we basically only operated on a very limited basis. Because the person that ran the plant also teaches the classes for the students. And so we have been investigating some partnerships of how we can actually grow that plant so that we could potentially lease it to someone that wants to run it as a business and still do the educational pieces to that. Because another thing that COVID kind of has shown us is that we have a few holes in the way that our processing is done. It's basically 4 big packing companies that kind of control everything. And so when those 4 in different places and time started going down because of the COVID virus, it put a really big hurt on a lot of places. And all of our smaller packing places around here, they're about 18 months out. If you want to have an animal processed, you are going to be waiting for at least 18 months. So this is something that the Department of Agriculture is really interested in doing. We're hoping that we'll get a grant very soon to help us kind of build up that program. So you'll probably be hearing and seeing more about our meat science program that's over there. Career Tech actually just put together an online certificate program for meat processing. So they're going to teach the book part of what it takes to process, but they don't have anywhere to do the skills parts. So we're also talking to the Career Tech about a partnership where we can bring those kids in for a limited weekend time frame, week time frame, and be able to show them all the skills parts that's involved. Ag was never my background, but I will tell you I've learned a lot about how meat's processed, what it looks like, what you have to do with it, the byproducts of meat. I mean, it's just like it's a big deal. And so that's something we're really excited about. We actually have added a shooting sports team as well. So we're still getting the facilities built. There were some issues with getting it built, but we're still working on getting that done. But we have several students that have come for our very first shooting sports team. And actually, the weekend before classes started, we had a group of boys that were coming to our shooting sports team that went to an event. So they went ahead and registered as Eastern Oklahoma State College and took first place. So before we even started, we're already taking first place at conferences. But this is a really neat thing. The students that do the shooting, they're just really excited about it. And they actually can do virtual shooting competitions now. I don't know how that works yet. I'll have to go watch it and let you know. But I think it's something that's really, in this area specifically, I think that's going to be a really good growth area for us. And then we also have a partnership on we have an aquaponics greenhouse, that symbiotic aquaponics. Kevin Smallwood, who's a local guy, kind of put that in, and he does a lot with that. So we're working on growing the horticulture side of our ag department and really looking at some ways that we can capitalize more on the aquaponics. Again, kind of a growing industry. One of the issues with the process is you have fish basically that are in with your plants, and the fish provide fertilizer to the plants. There's no place to process the fish. So you can sell them live to individuals, but you can't sell them, and get them processed somewhere else. So that's something that we're going to be exploring and looking at if there's ways to do something there. And then we also are looking at doing an esports team. Esports is really big with the younger generation. I don't know if most of you know what esports is. Basically, everybody sits in a room and plays a video game against each other. Again, not really sure how that all works, but it's something that there's a couple of different colleges that already have esports team, and it was something that our students requested us to look at a couple of years ago. So we have a club right now where the students basically get together. They are on the same video game in groups. So like these four are a team and these four are a team, and they're playing against each other on this video game. So that's the best explanation I can give you. So we'll look at that more and see what's going on. But I think that's something that we will kind of look at expanding in the future. And then we do have a new Veterans Memorial on campus. This is something that Dr. Smith, the prior president, had been trying to get in place for a long time. And it actually kind of just came to fruition. Unfortunately, with all of the stuff going on right now, we haven't been able to do a dedication for that. Some of you may know Larry Stone. It's called the Larry Stone Veterans Memorial. So we'll do a big dedication and a write-up when we get closer to that, and make sure that we send out invitations to anybody that wants to come. So that's, I'm sorry?
Where's it at?
It is right outside the library building, you know, where the clock tower is. It's right behind that clock tower. Actually, my window overlooks the Veterans Memorial. So it's really nice when they did. Yeah, I think they did a really great job with it. It was the concept and everything. It was being put in place actually as I came in the door. So I can't take any credit for it, but you know, I'm going to. It's nice. It looks really good with things going on. Another huge thing that you guys may have been paying attention to is athletics. I know that some of the big conferences have completely shut down. The NJCAA right now, who governs our athletics, has actually just moved everything to spring. So all of our sports, basketball, soccer, softball, baseball, have all moved to being played in the spring right now, which is a very interesting dynamic of how that's going to work. And they are going to go ahead and allow us to do some scrimmages in the fall, at least at this point. They are. So we're hoping that we will be able to do a couple of scrimmages just to, you know, get our kids out there so that they can be seen. We have a pitcher on our baseball team that was actually recruited to go to the major leagues this last year. And because of everything going on and the uncertainty of everything going on, he's elected to stay with us another year. So 95-mile-an-hour pitcher. He's pretty impressive and a good kid. 3.75 GPA, you know, just a really, really good kid. So
Where's he from?
I can't remember. I'll have to ask my athletic director and let you know. But yeah, really, really nice kid. A small town, little bitty town. I can't remember what the name of the town is. Yeah, I can't remember. But it's really neat that we can take those little bitty kids and bring them out and, you know, showcase them in a lot of the different athletic things that we've done. So, you know, I won't go on and on. I will say that, you know, our McAlester campus has reopened as well. You know, that's typically more of a night campus. So we do have a lot of kids coming over in the evenings, a lot of concurrent enrollment kids coming over. So, you know, as far as enrollment numbers right now, we look like we're probably going to be pretty flat. I think that was a concern for everybody, whether students were even going to come back to school, not knowing whether it was going to stay face-to-face or go online. So I think we have seen that students are going ahead and committing to coming back. There was some speculation that students would elect to go to the community colleges rather than the larger colleges. We may be seeing a little bit of that, because obviously if it's going to go online, you might as well go where it's the cheaper, you know, cheaper cost overall to do that. So I think that we may be seeing a little bit of those kinds of things. And usually when we get the students in the door, we'll keep them because they like the atmosphere of the smaller classes, that, you know, faculty that know who they are instead of sitting in the big lecture room. So we're excited about having those opportunities. The McAlester campus has been a really great thing, I think, for this community, but also for the college as a whole. And so we try to make sure that we are in both communities as much as possible and letting students know, you know what's there for them. And for those of you that may not know, our McAlester campus, we actually have two universities that teach some classes at those. They've kind of reduced how many classes they're teaching, but Southeastern Oklahoma State University and East Central University teach classes there as well. So a student in this community could actually start, if they wanted to go to the career tech, they could start there. They can get an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree without ever leaving home. And that's a very unique thing for a community this size. And so we're really pleased that we get to be a part of bringing that, you know, to this community. I'll kind of pause and let you guys ask me questions about things that maybe I didn't cover that you might want to know. Yes, sir.
Wow. I heard it too.
Is Christian McGowan from Boca Chica sound right?
Yes. Yeah.
You that line, Tom?
Boca Chica?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I knew it was a little bitty place, but I couldn't, it just escaped me. Coach Parker and I were talking about him. He's my athletic director. We were talking about him yesterday.
You need to,
I do have a legitimate
Okay.
question. So you got all these students in the dorms, what happens if one of them tests positive?
If they have any symptoms at all, we'll automatically quarantine them. So we'll move them over into a quarantine room, and then we'll have them go through the testing it there, and then we will go through the proper protocols on the health department side, which means that they will be quarantined until they have they're symptom-free and or test negative again, 14 days after the onset of any of the symptoms. According to the health departments, we've paid close attention to, we have seating charts in each classroom. So we would know who that student had been around. If they had been around any students there, we would obviously know who they had been around in the dorms. If they had been around somebody and it would have been considered a high risk, which means they were closer than 6 feet, weren't wearing masks for longer than 10 minutes. Those are the 3 factors that make somebody a high risk. Then those students would also be quarantined in their own rooms. And then we would do testing on them to make sure that they're negative as well. If they're in a classroom or if they're just walking across the yard or whatever, and the students are wearing masks or they're not together for a long period of time, those are still considered low to no risk. So we would just monitor those students for any symptoms that they might have. Yes, sir.
now you said you had the classroom ready for this too. My question is that if the student checks out that all of he has or she has symptoms, they go to this other classroom to continue, or they go there to go home, or?
They can go home if they choose. If they choose not to go home, we'll put them in a quarantine room and we'll provide a computer where they can zoom into their classes.
So they would stay there during that 14-day period?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. And so they'll be staying there. We'll deliver food to them so that they don't have to come out. Our food is mostly pick up anyway. We do have hot meals that we provide for them, but they actually go physically pick it up and take it back to the rooms. So we would be delivering meals to them and putting them off kind of on their own so that we wouldn't have the risk of an outbreak.
So this is not just a classroom,
It's a dorm room.
dorm thing?
Dorm room, yes. Yeah, we have 2 floors of our dorms that we've set aside. I don't think we'll ever get to that many. If we do, I think we won't be face to face, but we have set aside a significant number of rooms so we can spread people out on that side
That
of the
makes
dorm.
more sense.
Yeah. Yes.
What kind of scholarship programs do y'all have? What's probably the most, you mentioned a lot of programs, what's probably the most?
By far, our ag program has the most scholarships. They have an endowment in our foundation, and so they give quite a few scholarships out of the ag department because of that endowment. We do athletic scholarships, obviously, too, but those are more limited because of the rules of the NJCAA, and then a lot of academic scholarships. So our foundation has done a really good job of endowing scholarships over the years to give out to students. We will try to grow it and do more because, as you guys are aware, college costs have gone up and the Pell Grants have not kept pace.
No.
So probably when everybody in this room was in college, if you got a full Pell, it paid for all of your books and tuition and fees and maybe with a little bit left over. Right now, that's not the case. If a student gets a full Pell, it doesn't cover all of their tuition and fees.
Oh, yeah.
So we're trying to make sure we continue to grow those programs in the scholarship. And actually any individual can come in and endow a scholarship for just $15,000. And so we've tried to, do some things where we get groups of people together that maybe want to endow something, because then that continues to do scholarships year after year after year.
You mentioned your shooting. Do y'all do scholarships for the shooting?
We will. We haven't done a whole lot with it at this point because this is the first year we've started it. So they are giving a few regular ag scholarships, not that are dedicated to shooting sports, but we'll be kind of reallocating some of those a little bit when we get further down the road.
Okay.
I know you're just underway, but do you have a count right now on number of students? And then we could compare that with a fairly normal year in the past?
We're running about flat. So we have about a little over 1,500 students a semester in the fall semester. And so we think we're going to be pretty close to that. So it'll be between 1,500 and 1,600 students that'll be total. And that counts the ones that are in Wilburton, the ones that are here at McAlester, Idabel, and Antlers. And our down place is actually Idabel because they were completely shut down for a long period of time. So So they weren't enrolling students as many as the rest of them. Wilburton, I think, is going to be up because of the number of students in the new programs that are going on. And I think McAlester is going to be pretty flat. We may see an increase here. Typically, the way community colleges go is that we ebb and flow with the economy. So when the economy goes down, we see more students coming back to school. And so we're hoping that we do see that trend so we can kind of retrain some of those students to go back out. But we haven't run final numbers yet. We will run those in the next couple of weeks, but we're expecting it to stay pretty steady.
Your on-campus students are maybe up a little bit since your dorm.
Yeah, we're about 50 more in the dorms.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So it's an interesting dynamic. And I will tell you, based on their behavior right now, I think they really, really want to stay. Because if you can get a bunch of 18-year-old kids to wear a mask everywhere on campus for several days in a row, I think they're showing us that they want to be there.
I think romance made surfer on the campus.
I know. That's why we said we know that we can't, and I can't control what they do when they leave campus. Is the other thing. If they go somewhere else, we can't control what they do. But the coaches are really trying to express to them, you guys want to stay, we're gonna have to try to be as responsible as we can. So
that's what I was wondering, they have all these places, we do this, but enforcing it, if somebody rebels against wearing a mask.
Well, that's one of the reasons that we made the decision to go to the Zoom courses, because it's like, if you come and you don't want to wear a mask, then go off campus and you can Zoom the class. So we're not denying you the class, but if you're going to be on campus, you have to have a mask on your face. And so far, they've been fine with that. We haven't had any problems, because those that either don't believe in it or don't want to do it or whatever are staying home and Zooming those classes in. Yeah.
Having seen the butchering process and all that, do you tend to not eat certain meats now, or?
No, I'm a meat person, so it really doesn't bother me too much. I actually went up and worked, when I was here as vice president, I actually went up and worked in the meat lab one full day. And that's what everybody told me after that. Oh, does that not gross you out? And I'm just like, yeah, I don't gross out quite that easily. I probably didn't eat hamburger that night, but the next day I was fine. But yeah, I think it's interesting just to know where all that kind of stuff comes from and where it goes, and just the whole process. And it's a little bitty building, and so when I first saw it, I thought, how in the world can you do all of that from this little bitty tiny building? But it's pretty precise stuff. They bring them in and go through the whole process in there, and we're limited by a little bit of freezer space and a little bit of upgraded equipment that we need. So we're hoping we get that grant and we can put those things in place pretty quick. Yeah.
How does Eastern stand among all the other junior colleges in the state as far as the numbers?
As numbers, we are probably just below middle of the pack as far as the other colleges. Connors is a little bit bigger. Carl Albert's about our size. Murray's about our size. Western's a little bit smaller. And so we're probably right about the middle of the pack. Nancy, did you?
Program, they used to sell like meats to the community. Do they do that again?
We would love to. We have Mountaineer Meats. It's basically a trademark for what we did. And Italian sausage and beef jerky were the two that they sold quite a bit. Those were kind of their trademark places. So we are hoping to where we can get back to being able to do all of that again and be able to process those things, and then also be able to process more for the community over there. Try to grow that, because I think that's a real big need. And I think more and more places, I don't know if you guys saw that Pruitt's grocery store actually committed to only buying Oklahoma beef. So I think there's going to be more and more of that, the local grocery stores, because of some of the changes in the laws and things that have gone on. I think more and more of them are going to commit to doing that. What's stopping them right now is they can't get it. It's not being processed quickly enough for them to be able to get the product. Yeah.
So you'd be open up to like Sharrows and all the big ranches around there?
That's the idea.
Process?
Yeah, that's the idea.
And if you sell for individuals where you would have to go back to the owner?
Yes.
Good, count me in.
Yeah. So that's the idea. Where it may take us a little bit to get there, but that's the road we're headed down.
You need a buffalo road,
Right, other questions? All right.
Well,
For you, and I have a certificate, I have to all of them get it.
Okay, sure. Hey, Jenny, would Would you mind taking a picture, Gary? If you want to come up here?
Mask on, yeah.
Showing.
I don't, since I did a mask mandate on campus, I don't do pictures without a mask. It's just kind of my thing now. Everybody smile.
She smiled.
There wasn't anything in my teeth.
Okay.
Use these plastic masks there now so you can see your.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other business? Up here before you leave, I have an older list of everyone's phone numbers and addresses and everything. If you look on there, Jenny, I don't think yours was listed on there. There's a few that aren't, but if you'll just write it at the bottom of the list. If everything's okay, then that's fine. But if we're missing or something's incorrect, can you correct it for us? And then that way, I'm trying to get everyone's addresses and names and phone numbers and emails all caught up, since that's how we're doing a lot of our information. All right, if no one, oh, yeah,
Did you, can I leave meals dues here somewhere?
yes, I'll take them over to
That's
Kathy.
the dues, not.
Okay. Bathrooms, all right, well, thank you everyone for coming. Be sure and get you some cake if you haven't had any.
Thank your daughter for making that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna check it out. Good job, Ted.
Thank you.
That is, well, yours to start with will be the 65. I think this year, which, was it 35? Oh, do you remember? Is that what you're coming to ask?
That's what I'm
These
coming
are
at.
35,
Well, it's,
it says new members is 43 annually.
yes, yes. Now, this year they had decreased it a little bit,
Okay.
because we didn't meet some, because COVID had hit and everything. So I don't, our secretary that handles that is Kathy. This is actually my first meeting as president.
wow.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, Kathy Crowell, she works at First National Bank. She's our secretary and treasurer. She handles everything. I know she just sent out our dues and everything.
Okay. Well, you want me to leave this with you and then bring you a check?
That would be
for
fine.
$65
Mhm.
next Wednesday
That'd
at
be fine. Noon, yeah, same time. We'll start at 7 or 12:20. That way, if you want to bring your lunch.
Okay.
What we need to make sure that he understands, this is not representative meeting.
Oh, I totally get it.
We,
I mean, I get it. I
I
get it.
made it for 68.
we'll have a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, so I'm sure if it
I
was
think
less than that, she'll just.
Right now.
That's what I say, I'll just donate it to the.
It was broken down to the.
Our numbers are down and
Local, thing and.
of course, it's
National and everything. Okay. I'll take it.
can't sing, that singing is a hoot. That's what makes a lot of, we have a lot of fun.
It had a
How
purple
big
like a
is
line.
that?
like
How many members are?
Yeah, yeah,
But
We
they
have
were
about,
going to the email, so.
right, right.
40
So,
40 plus maybe.
because
But,
they're fixing to
you
remodel
know, we
our
have
whole
about
area
20
now,
to,
so they're gonna make me offer.
let's say 18